Hi troops, well it's Ice here. It's another beautiful day in the Shire, so I've just taken a ride out on one of my favourite back roads, and I thought I'd do this little video to introduce you to the Mongoose. Here we go. So guys, here she is, the Mongoose. She's my 1929 101 Indian Scout. Basically I bought her as a box of bits in 2016 and built her up into this rather beautiful little bobber that you see here now. What I'll do is I'll give you a quick walk around, explain what's going on here, and then we'll see if we can get her started up for you. Okay, so basically I ended up with an engine that's based around the 1929 Indian Scout engine 101, 750cc or 45 cubic inches, but it'd been heavily modified when I got hold of it. Basically the crankcases, the gearbox and all the internals are from a 101 Scout, but the top end that you can see here are mid-30s Sport Scout top end, which was a standard modification back in the day to make the bikes a little bit quicker as the bikes got more modern. On the front here we've got one of the early brake hubs, a one-off homemade mudguard attached to the rather splendid looking leafer spring front fork assembly, which was pretty much exclusive to the Indian motorcycle mark. Okay, up here we've got the old headlight. On the right hand twist grip here, that would normally operate the advance and retard, but I'm running an electronic Magdyno made by Vape in the Czech Republic, and that's got an automatic advance and retard on it, so I actually don't need that, so that just flaps around. Here on the left hand side you'll see the left hand throttle. That was one of the very first designed throttles, and certainly one of the first to have the throttle cable running through the handlebars down to the carburettor. What you can see down here is an old klaxon horn which came off an early teens Austin car, or so I'm told. Down here you can see the foot clutch attached to the clutch basket. I'm running a modern Mikuni VM34 carburettor with an old air filter which I've got a feeling came off an SU carb from a Triumph TR4. Up here we've got the fuel tank. The fuel tank has actually got the oil tank cell in it as well. So here you see the fuel cap, and here is the entrance to the oil tank. This plunger here would have been used to fire oil into the gearbox, sorry, the crankcases, but by this time you didn't really need to do that, so I've just blanked it off. Obviously there's the pilot seat, lovely sprung saddle, leather made by Messenger, actually very comfy. Down here you can see what I've done is I've actually changed the rear wheel setup for a later 1940s 741 setup. The 741 was the war bike that Indian made, and has got a much more efficient brake being fully enclosed, so that was a modification that I did just so that I've got actually decent brakes. The front one's pretty minimal. And what we've got here is the hand gear change going down to the 3-speed gearbox, you can see there, and then the open kickstart quadrant and the kickstarter that you can see there. And I've actually got an old 70s Triumph Bonneville kickstart pedal there because I managed to break the Indian one, kicking it over when it was when I was first building it. Just here we've got the kill switch, which is just a little handy thing that just runs a wire from the Magdyno straight to earth. you just knock it back. But yeah, and that's about the only they're about the only real modern things that are on it. As you can see here, the last little thing, we've got rear brake operated by foot, obviously, and then here we've got the oil pump, which regulates the amount of oil goes in. The bike runs a total loss system, so that no oil goes back to the oil tank, so you've got to keep filling up the oil. But the great thing about that is that you're running clean oil all the time, and it just drips, literally just drips a tiny amount of oil in with every turn of the crank. And then at the front there, you've got the crankcase breather. Footboards, they fold up. When you're cranking it round the corners, they get a pretty good scrape actually, because this bike handles absolutely brilliant. The rest of this, we've got some the modified exhausts to fit the Sport Scout top end, which I did a little bit of welding and brazing on myself to get it going, and then basically that's it. But basically she's good for about 60 mile an hour if you screw the nut, but it's much happier cruising around 50. Absolutely superb on roads like this, just lovely back roads that you can see that there's just absolutely millions of them around this area where I live in Scotland. So guys, hope you like what you see. I'm just going to give her a kick and see if she'll start for you. There you go. First kick, once she's warm, not a problem. The Mikuni carburettor is definitely a great upgrade, and it works really well with the Bait Mag dyno. Got no drama at all. This is a quick once round. What I'm doing, I'm just going to be posting up the odd riding video on my Aldi GoPro, and but there you go. So there she is, the 1929 Indian 101 Scout. Okay guys, cheers.